Want help to grow your business? Download Bryn, the world's first business advisor in your pocket. To find out more, visit bryn.ai or search the App Store today.
Hi, I'm Dale Beaumont and welcome to Secrets Exposed. This is the series that takes you up close and personal with leading business experts. And our topic for this interview is how to save time and money on bookkeeping. That coming up in just a moment. My special guest today is Scott Treverthen, and our topic for this interview is how to save time and money on bookkeeping. Scott is a leading business advisor and also a chartered accountant, and he runs his own bookkeeping business, which now runs globally. So we're going to be talking to him today about this very important subject. Scott, welcome to the studio.
Thanks, Dale. Absolutely pleasure to be here.
All right, so let's talk about bookkeeping. First of all, what does a bookkeeper actually do?
Yeah, without getting too technical, because I'm sure the audience don't want to hear all the ins and outs about debits and credits. But a bookkeeper's responsible really for making sure that your accounting records reflect reality, so that your bank statement is adequately represented on your accounting records. Now, bear in mind, bookkeeping is probably the second oldest profession. Now, I don't know what the oldest profession was, but they needed someone to make sure that they knew whether that business was making money or not. And so the bookkeeper's job was to make sure that all the inflows and outflows of a business are measured.
Okay, you can't just rely on your bank account, right? You've got money coming in there and money kind of going out in expenses, and then you've got your accounting as well. So how do they work together?
Yeah, look, at a very basic level, you could rely on just your inflows of cash and your outflows of cash, but then you've got other things that last more than a year. We have the thing called a matching principle, which means that we try to match expenses that are incurred with the revenues that were generated from those expenses. So some expenses that you, like assets, cameras and equipment like this, last more than 12 months, so they'll generate revenue over more than 1 year. So we call them assets and we put them on a balance sheet, and we get a little bit technical around those things. And of course, when we sell to people on credit terms, they don't pay us instantly. We've got to manage that process as well and make sure that that's all accounted for correctly. And of course, we need to pay our suppliers, and if we don't pay them cash, they give us credit terms, we need to pay them within terms or within the bounds of what the business needs to pay them.
Okay, so is it something you can and should do yourself, or is it something that you should outsource? And at what point in your business journey should you be looking for a bookkeeper?
Okay, unless you're running an accounting or a bookkeeping business, I do not recommend that you do your own bookkeeping. Now, I know it's exciting to do it sometimes, as strange as that might seem. You can see where all the numbers are coming and where they're going. But really, your time is so much better spent on your business, on bringing your product to market and working out your sales channels than it is working out something that's quite technical to do in terms of reconciling your accounts and making sure that the people are paying you on time, because we've seen from our own experiences time and time again, business owners get a little bit lax because they're focusing on their business when it comes to bookkeeping, and then their credit terms extend, which means they're not getting money in when they should be getting money in, and then their cash flow dries right up and they get into real trouble. So the other reason that you don't want to do it yourself is that often you make mistakes as a business owner. You're not a trained bookkeeper, it's like a different language. So what that means is when your accountant comes to do your books at the year end, do your annual accounts, they're going to fix a lot of mistakes, and that just costs you a lot of time and money. And that's not what we're about today. We're about saving time and money.
And it's not necessarily something that your accountant would do. It's really, you want to find a specialist bookkeeper. Would you recommend that?
Absolutely. I think it's a different business model. The accountants are great at doing what they need to do in terms of dealing with a regulatory environment and making sure that things are processed in the right way and giving you the sort of information that you need. But the bookkeeper is down at the coalface, and the bookkeeper needs to be crunching through lots and lots of data, and they need to be doing that at a lot cheaper rate because the value to you as a business owner is a lot less. So I think you should keep them separate from your accountant, absolutely.
Okay, now which one do you get first? Do you get a bookkeeper first or an accountant first? Like the chicken and the egg, right? Which one comes first?
Yeah, look, and I know I'm an accountant, so I would say, yes, absolutely get an accountant first, because they may have bookkeepers that they prefer to work with that might be better for you in the long run to work with their bookkeepers. or they might not care. Most accountants won't really care what bookkeeper you use as long as they're reasonably competent in what they do.
And should you all agree what software you're going to use, and who kind of makes that decision?
Absolutely, pet peeve of mine, Dale, is when the bookkeeper advises the client of what software to use and it's not the software that the accountant would prefer. Now this has a big impact on how long it takes you to do things, even your annual accounts in the accountant side, and that just costs you money. It doesn't save you time, or it costs you more money. So I recommend that you go with a software that your accountant recommends to use, as long as that fits in with your own business model. I always say, if you like the software more than you like your accountant, time to get a new accountant. And it's the same with a bookkeeper. If you like the software more than you like the bookkeeper, get a new bookkeeper.
All right, good answer. Now, when it comes to bookkeepers, should you be finding someone that's local? So you go, here's all of my receipts in a shoebox, or do you find someone that is that is maybe in another part of the country or another part of the world now, because you don't necessarily need someone that's physically in your office? So how does that work?
Yeah, look, up to about 3 years ago, I would have said, no, you've got to have someone that comes into your office, and that's traditionally the way that the business works. So you would have a little bit of an in tray and it would be piled high with paperwork that when the bookkeeper comes in, they can just go through all of those things and enter them into your accounting system, and then you'd be right for the next month or next week when the bookkeeper comes back in. But now we've got this beautiful invention called cloud accounting, and really what that's done for the bookkeeping industry is meant that those bookkeepers that used to come to your office now work from their own office. And you used to have a big trade worth of paperwork to give them. Now that's all digitised. So it's either sent to them in a Dropbox or an email so that they can work from home. But because they can work from home, it means we can access the low-cost labour environment, Dale. So that means that we don't have to pay bookkeepers, the $50, $60, $70 mark per hour anymore. Now we can use the low-cost labour environment and pay a lot less, which means greater value for us, the business owner.
So let's quickly talk about that. So you can now hire bookkeepers in other parts of the world. Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely.
And what typically, in terms of an hourly rate, and are these people, are they qualified? How do we know if they're any good?
Well, exactly. Great question. And I think that is a big question in and of itself. So you can go off and hire a bookkeeper, someone who says they're a bookkeeper. They may have no qualifications whatsoever, and they may be charging on something like Upwork $5 or $6 per hour to do your bookkeeping for you. And if you know what bookkeeping you need and you know how long things should take, then that might be a great option for you. But there's also other businesses. Now, this is where we have to put our hand up and say we have our own outsourced bookkeeping business based in Cebu in the Philippines, and we're expert accountants. So we deal with accounting and bookkeeping. All of our bookkeepers are fully qualified accountants. So they know what to do. We know what you need, and so you can access that for as little as $20 an hour. As little as $12 an hour. So it's a great discount. If you're dealing with a local-based bookkeeper, you're probably talking around about $50 to $60 an hour. So there's a big difference in cost by accessing this low-cost labour environment.
Okay, now just another question I have is how much should your bookkeeper be working? I know it's a funny question because it's like, how much work do you have? But would most of them do, a day a week, or would they do a day a fortnight? How often, or would they do, an hour a day and spread out over? Yeah,
really depends. And we've got clients that do as little as 2 hours a month, and we've got other clients that have a full-time bookkeeper on their team. So it depends on what you're doing, the complexity of your business, how many customers you've got, how many invoices that you're sending out, how many bank statement lines that you've got to worry about and reconcile, the complexity of your inventory, if you carry inventory, all of these sort of things take time to process. And artificial intelligence is something that's coming along like a steam train, as we're talking on Brin, so we certainly know about artificial intelligence. And eventually that will take away the need for bookkeeping. We think, at some time in the future, but right now we need this thing called human intelligence to interpret all the data that your business produces. And that human intelligence sometimes takes hours and hours and hours to process. So we need to do that as economically as we possibly can, which is why the low-cost labour environments of certain countries are a great option for businesses.
Okay, one final question, then we'll take a short break. How do you find a good bookkeeper?
Yeah, look, it's sort of something that you can use a referral base. So if you know someone, you can certainly go and ask your accountant if they've got a preferred bookkeeper to use. You ask other businesses in your similar industry or in your geographical location who they might use. That's a little hard when it comes to a sole, single man book or woman bookkeeping business, because often they'll only have about 30 hours and then they'll be full up, so you can't use them. Or you can just go on the internet and again look for recommendations, look for testimonials, look for businesses that suit your needs, and give them a go.
Okay, we are going to take a short break now. When we get back, we've got some more important questions to ask about how much control do you give your bookkeeper in terms of your accounts, and also we're going to be talking about apps and what other software should your bookkeeper be using to help you save time and money. So keep watching. Welcome back to our interview all about how to save time and money on your bookkeeping. So first question is about trust. How do you know if you can trust your bookkeeper, especially if they're working remotely or in another part of the world? And how do you protect your business?
Dale, I'm an internal auditor at heart. Don't trust anyone. Now, our lecturers at
To continue enjoying this presentation, download Bryn, the world's first business advisor in your pocket. To find out more, visit bryn.ai or search the App Store today.